What happens when the FBI director is accused of holding millions in stock tied to China, the very country America calls its greatest security threat? In this tense hearing, Congressman Hank Johnson presses Kash Patel on conflicts of interest, ethics, and credibility. The answers reveal just how fragile trust in our institutions can be.
Gentleman from Georgia is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director Patel, thank you for being here today. I want to first talk about the significant role that the FBI plays in combating the national security threats posed by our nation's greatest threat, our nation's greatest security threat, China and the Chinese Communist Party. It's a fact that China is America's most significant national security threat, isn't that correct?
I would say so, sir.
And you would agree with me that China wants to dominate the United States of America?
I think that's largely their plan.
And they want to dominate the world, both militarily and economically, isn't that correct?
I think so.
And sir, you've been FBI director for the last, 8 months?
7 months, yes.
7 months, and during that time, have you held any stock in any companies founded in China?
I don't believe so.
Well, you do own stock in a company known as Elite Depot, don't you?
Which one, sorry?
Elite Depot. You own stock.
I think that's, I'll have to get back to you. I think it's a law firm and it's a company out of Singapore.
Okay, well, no, the company out of Singapore, which is owned by Elite Depot, is the Shein Company, which was founded in China, correct?
That company operates out of Taiwan.
Well, they changed their headquarters from China back in 2022 to Singapore for tax purposes, but it's owned by a Chinese billionaire. I think his name is Charlie Zhu, and you own stock in the company that owns Shein.
Which I disclosed during my confirmation process.
You certainly did. And now, do you still hold that stock in that Chinese company?
Pursuant to the Department of Justice, who reviewed my material that was submitted during my confirmation process, I was able to hold certain stocks, and they made the decision.
You still hold the stocks that you have? You still hold on to these Chinese stocks, these stocks in this Chinese company?
I disagree that it's a Chinese company, but I was in the DOJ, when you're appointed, makes a call on what you can and can't possess.
Well, now, let me ask you this. Chinese companies steal trademarks, they produce counterfeit products and sell them over the internet on platforms such as Shein. They steal intellectual property. They steal data from American companies. And to me, it seems inconsistent with your role as FBI director that you would own stock in a company that is based in a country that is the nation's premier national security threat. It's like you are putting your own financial security over the security of the nation.
I disagree with that characterization.
Well, I think the American people look at it like it's a classic situation of the fox guarding the hen house. If the FBI is charged with investigating espionage, economic espionage by companies controlled by the Chinese Communist Party, and you are the director of the FBI, you've got a conflict of interest.
Sir, I would just show if there's any intimation that I'm against.
Why are you holding on to this stock?
It wasn't a decision I made.
And it's valued at up to $5 million as of when you last reported, correct? $5 million in stock?
No, I don't follow it.
You don't follow it, but you're still making money off of it.
I don't have any money off of anything.
Well,
what I have done...
Trump's trade policies directly impact the value of that Chinese stock. Won't you agree with that?
Which trade policy? I'm not a trade expert.
Okay, all right.
But I want to tell you this.
Crazy on me today. Let me ask you this question. Why are you hiding pedophiles? Why are you shielding pedophiles? Why are you protecting pedophiles?
That is maybe the most offensive thing you could say to me, given the numbers.
Well, you have not released
Given
the
the
Epstein
numbers
files.
of pedophiles.
You were aware of the
we have
Epstein
arrested-
client list that was published in the 18,000
The gentleman has
emails released?
expired. The gentleman yields
Can I just-
back.
Can you answer the
Can
question?
I just respond?
Of course, the gentleman can answer the question.
Since I took over the FBI, there has been a 33% increase.
Sir, all of that
Counter-
started under Christopher
Your
Wray.
time is done, but
No,
the,
it didn't.
the witness gets
All
to
of
answer
that
the
started
question,
under
and
the
then we'll go to our
previous,
next.
33
FBI director, sir, and you're coming in here trying to take credit for something that a previous director
Gentlemen,
instituted and largely brought to conclusion.
I take
I
no
think it's
credit.
made clear that
offensive.
the director
It's offensive.
has numbers are so
incorrect
much
also.
better than the previous director.
It's
Director Patel, if you
deceptive.
want to
I
answer
take-
the question.
I take no credit. The men and women of the FBI have seen a 33% increase in the number of counterintelligence arrests out of the PRC.
And so all of a sudden, when
And
you
the-
coming in 7 months ago,
and,
Gentlemen, his time has
Heaven on earth.
expired.
and on
sir,
the pedophile
American public not gonna
accusation,
go for that.
we have arrested 1,500 child predators in the last 7 months.
Under
That's
investigations
more than
initiated by
anybody
the prior
Appreciate the
directorship.
director's good work, and we really appreciate that the time the gentleman has expired. We now
When Representative Hank Johnson pressed FBI Director Kash Patel with the question about whether he holds stock in companies founded in China, it may have sounded like just another political jab. But when you look closer, you realize this line of questioning cuts straight into one of the most sensitive fault lines in American governance: how the personal financial interests of leaders intersect with the national security threats they are sworn to fight. For years, China has been identified by U.S. intelligence agencies as the nation's most serious strategic competitor. It's not just about military positioning, it's about intellectual property theft, cyber intrusions, counterfeiting, and the reach of Chinese-owned or affiliated companies into Western markets. When a top law enforcement or intelligence official is found to own shares, even indirectly, in companies linked to China, two problems immediately emerge. First, there's the real possibility of conflict of interest. Imagine if the FBI director were to oversee an investigation into a company where he has stock holdings. Even if he acts with complete integrity, the mere fact that his finances are tied to the company could compromise decisions or create grounds for recusal. Second, and sometimes even more damaging, is the appearance of conflict. In national security, appearances matter almost as much as actions, because trust in institutions is the foundation of their effectiveness. If the public starts to believe the FBI is compromised, even just by optics, the agency's credibility takes a hit that no courtroom ruling can repair. Now, Patel pushed back. He emphasized that his holdings were disclosed during the confirmation process and that the Department of Justice reviewed and cleared them. That's a significant detail because DOJ ethics officers do evaluate disclosures, and in many cases, they determine what an official can keep, what must be divested, and what conflicts require recusal. But here's where nuance is key. DOJ clearance doesn't mean the issue disappears. It means the holdings don't legally bar the individual from serving. What it does not do is guarantee that the optics won't remain troubling, or that the public will simply accept the judgment at face value. And that's where oversight hearings like this matter. They don't just exist to catch an official in a lie. They exist to put on the record the concerns of lawmakers and, by extension, the concerns of the American people. Johnson framed it with a metaphor that resonated. It looks like the fox guarding the henhouse. That's not a technical legal point, it's an appeal to common sense. If the FBI director is supposed to investigate foreign corporate misconduct and, at the same time, is making money from a company with Chinese roots, no technical disclosure is going to erase that discomfort in the public eye. Then came the escalation. Johnson pivoted abruptly from conflicts of interest to questions about shielding pedophiles. The change in subject felt almost chaotic, but it reflects something real about the way politics operates in hearings. When a member feels their initial line of attack isn't breaking through, they switch to a moral high ground, an area where no one wants to be seen as soft. That move adds heat, but not always clarity. And for viewers, it's important to recognize this rhetorical shift. The conversation stopped being about financial ethics and became about moral outrage. But you should keep the two issues separate because they require different solutions. What should we take from all of this? First, financial disclosures are not just paperwork. They are living documents that shape the trust between government and people. Second, DOJ clearance solves a legal threshold problem but doesn't automatically repair public perception. Third, oversight hearings are not just political theater. They are a democratic safeguard that forces those in power to explain themselves under oath, even when the questions feel sharp or repetitive. And finally, these moments show us how fragile public confidence can be. A single unanswered question about a stock holding can cast a shadow over an entire agency's mission. So here's the bigger picture. Should high-level national security officials be barred outright from holding stocks linked to strategic adversaries? That's not just a question for Kash Patel. It's a question for the broader system of governance. And as citizens, we have to decide whether we're comfortable with technical clearances being the standard, or whether we expect higher rules of transparency and divestment when the stakes are this high. If you've watched this far, I want to hear your take. Do you think disclosure and DOJ review are enough? Or do you believe top officials should be required to completely divest from companies linked to foreign adversaries? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because these are the conversations that decide how accountable our institutions really are. And if you want deeper dives into the intersection of money, power, and national security, make sure to subscribe. We'll keep breaking these moments down so you understand not just what was said, but why it matters.